that we have been making, but that it's not. It's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. You have countries like US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay, talking about agriculture and climate change and food security. You have institutions like World Bank, you have institutions like IFPRI, you have institutions like many of them talking about FAO, talking about agriculture and food security, talking about smallholders, farmers, talking about food security being threatened throughout the world. What they talk about, for them, the interesting point is that there are a number, it's believed that agriculture contributes to 13% of the greenhouse gases global emission. For the organizations and institutions and countries who have been talking about agriculture and climate change, they see a very big scope in reducing GHG emission in agriculture, by which they not only can reduce their own GHG emission, but also do these projects in developing countries, poor countries, and earn by that. Why I say this, what we have been saying in international negotiations is that there should be a distinction between agriculture in developing countries and agriculture in developed countries. You can't treat agriculture with a single sweep and say that agriculture is responsible for bringing about climate change and climate crisis. It has huge emissions. We say that now the world has started talking about climate smart agriculture. What is climate smart agriculture? They say that there are thousands of ways in which emissions from agriculture can be reduced. We say that in countries like India, where you have millions of farmers having farms of less than 0.2 hectares, how do you reduce how do you reduce emission in that? If you have at all to reduce emission in agriculture, it should be started with developed countries. As Swamiji always says that developed countries use at least thrice of energy to produce single unit of food as compared to developing countries' agriculture. So you have to have a parameter which treats agriculture in developing countries and gives importance to its multifunctional role. Agriculture in developing countries is significantly different from agriculture in developed countries. In countries like ours, agriculture is not only the source of food security but also source of livelihood. It's a way of life. While in developed countries, agriculture is simply an economic activity. So it's very interesting that you have a number of proposals coming up on how emissions can be reduced in agriculture. You have, and you'll be surprised to hear about the proposals. What are the proposals? It's no-till agriculture. No-till agriculture is being mainly promoted by Monsanto. Why? Because it says that its Roundup Ready soya is a perfect example to implement no-till agriculture, zero conservation agriculture, whatever they call it. So another solution is biochar. For biochar is a charcoal-like product which they believe that if spread on the field, they will enhance the carbon capacity of the soil. For mechanisms like biochar to have any effect on reducing emission, you need a land mass which might be 3 times to the area, to the land mass of India. From where you bring that kind of land mass to have biochar? Another solution is agrofuel. GMO crops. These are the solutions which are being promoted. Now, recently, the international negotiations are under huge pressure to recognize soil carbon sequestration as one of the CDM approved technology. And should it happen, what will happen? agribusiness countries will be after the land of that poor farmer which has less than 0.2 hectares of land to sequester carbon in his land. And it is believed that, and since small lands are not very adequate to have huge amounts of carbon being sequestered, they will do what? Get the land of poor farmers by hook and crook and make a big farm out of it to sequester carbon and have CDM credits. So, as far as we understand, this is right now the global design on agriculture in terms of climate change. Nobody is talking, very little talk about what is happening to agriculture due to climate change, what globally governments are doing to support small farmers, to build their resilience in agriculture, to insulate them from climate change impacts. Nothing is happening. The bigger question is that what our government is doing or what developing countries are doing to counter this. The answer is very little. Most of the developing countries in their NAMA, they have to produce a nationally appropriate mitigation action plan, have identified agriculture as major source of emissions, and they are also equally keen to sequester carbon from agriculture. What they get? A small amount of money, which is totally insignificant for providing any kind of help. They say that if we get carbon money for soil sequestration, we'll be able to help millions of farmers in our country fight climate change. This is a totally baseless argument. What the Indian government is doing? Almost nothing. Rather than they have been taking steps, those are so regressive, you'll be surprised to know. National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, which is a part of one of the missions of National Action Plan on Climate Change, talks about increased use of biotechnology in agriculture to revive agriculture and help climate change. The kind of technological fixes that they are providing is definitely going to worsen the problem rather than solve it. We have been engaging with state action plans on climate change. Almost all the states, except few, we have had very intense consultations in at least 5-6 states. We have been able to open up the debate generally on state action plan on climate change, but since our focus is also on agriculture and food security, within this plan we also, the major part of the discussion is on agriculture and climate change. Almost all the states are talking about zero tillage agriculture without even having little idea of what it entails and how it's being perceived globally, what are the popular criticisms and how it will benefit agriculture. Nobody has an answer to it. All of them are talking about soil, almost many of them are talking about capturing the opportunity that soil carbon sequestration provides to agriculture without even knowing that what can be the ultimate results out of that. All of them are talking about introducing modern scientific agriculture. I don't know what does that mean. Many of them talk about increased use of biotechnology in agriculture. Many of them are talking about increasing or rather having a relook at regulations, policy with regard to use of water by farmers, trying to achieve total cost recovery, water and irrigation. So these are the things that are coming to agriculture. And more unfortunately, agricultural research universities, we have been also talking to them, are doing very little. Whatever adaptation in India is happening, that is completely autonomous adaptation that farmers have introduced with their wisdom, with their knowledge, with their experience. They are getting very little help from any kind of institutions, any experts, government, agricultural research institutions, almost no help. So it's good to talk about energy. It's good to talk about power. It's good to talk about transport. It's good to talk about so many things in climate change. But first and foremost, countries like India, it should be agriculture. And whenever you go on Google and people say that you can get everything on Google, and you try to find out what is the impact of climate change in agriculture in India, I am sure you will not get very valid documents, very standard research, because wherever you go, they say that this will happen in India. IPCC has projected that even with an increase of 1 to 2 degrees Celsius in temperature, India, tropical countries, prominently South Asia and South Africa, are going to lose cereal production up to say 30 to 40%. But nobody is talking about what is happening right now. We have our documents, we have had public hearings and People's Tribunal on agriculture and climate change and food security. We have people coming from 22 states and having very moving testimonies on what is happening in agriculture due to climate change impact. Nobody acknowledges that. Now there has been a very small effort, like the states have to draft state action plans. Now they have to look into what is happening. Even if something is not happening, they have to write that in the document, and they have to exactly look for what kind of changes are taking place in agriculture due to climate change impact. So very little has been done on that part. We have also tried to do that. But at present, climate change is not a priority for the government. Government talks about climate change. India is globally being perceived as providing leadership in climate change, but nationally we don't see that happening. And the less we talk about agriculture is better, because everybody knows what's happening with agriculture. So I would stop here and hand over to the chair then.
Any questions or suggestions or inputs or you can have for how much time do we have?
30 minutes.
Why don't you, because both of you have worked together.
I think it will be better if you tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
If there are other questions and inputs or other.
एक ही दिन में सारी कहानी चल जाएगी, फिर कल क्या होगा? कल
Not exactly related to this, but my worry is now many a time about organic farming is coming in a big way. But organic farming is also now market driven. And now the green revolution in the east is heavily loaded with the marketing and the terms organic. And they are using, as I have seen in Odisha, they are putting this salary from the steel plants to improve the soil. Likewise, the paper industry also, they are giving their garbage on the name of organic farming to improve the soil. So many things. So we have to be careful what is organic, or whether we have to say sustainable Rishi farming or Indian style way of farming which has low input cost. So we have to be very careful with the wordings which is going on. And climate change and the plan made by the states, it's very, say, just worrisome. They are just copied from here. There is no relation with the ground and this. And so much so, the state of Orissa, I happened to read the first draft note after that if there is some. They say very apologetically, sorry, we know that the cattle, the cows contribute to the emission and the carbon or this. But being a cultural and the old society, we have a cultural sensitivity and religious sensitivity towards cattle. So we will not do it now, but we are aware of it and we will move towards this. Tomorrow they will say the human extractor also is producing emission. So those who have above 50 should also be killed or destocking should be done. So at all, whether this is a real, the climate issue is a real issue, that itself has to be probed. Or whether it's a market driven issue thrown onto the south. That is.
Any other question?
Not reply.
No,
Adding to
this needs to be.
Yeah, that needs to be
Ajay, you need to add.
Add to what he is
Sure,
saying.
please.
See, there is, it's a very comprehensively you have put in some of these things and points. Now, the as part of this mission on sustainable agriculture national, there is this Indian Agricultural Research Institutes and ICAR all doing climate resilient agriculture as one of the important submissions or whatever. Interestingly, I was there for one of the meetings of the ICAR held in Hyderabad on climate resilient agriculture. It's called the platform on climate resilient agriculture, and we invited ourselves into it. They had sent in this thing, so we wrote back saying we want to participate in it and look at it. I walked in, so I was there for all of us. And there are a lot of groups together, so I went in. A couple of others were also. Whole 400 people were there in a big hall, a big consultation of 2 days. It was all done in terms of all the major crop research institutes were there. Starting from jute to rice to paddy, everybody. Now, everybody is concerned with the lakhs of crores of rupees going to be huge money that's going to come up there in the next coming all plans. So, all these people were there and they were looking at, what are the solutions? What do you do? How do you do? So people, crop after crop of the scientists are coming up and what they were saying? Same lines as you are talking about. They were offering various solutions. They're saying, jute is having a problem, we want to do that. This is having a problem, we want to do that. Now, our experience on the field, not just our in the sense that I'm talking about our tunnel, mine work, but in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Kerala, there are a lot of small work that is happening. Few examples. In Tamil Nadu, in Tiruvarur, Tiruthalaipondi area, Adirangam, there is a village. There we have a small center which is looking at conservation of traditional varieties of paddy. We were working on about 40 plus varieties. Last 3 years we were revived these varieties and cultivating and distributing. In 3 years, the interest has become so much that today we have about 2,600 farmers across Tamil Nadu in all of 30 districts, 1, 2, 5, 10 like that here and there, but conserving some of these varieties. Now, from the experience of the farmers, what we found that in that area, Kadalur, I'm sure sir you will know, in the Kadalur, Nagapattanam area, water always comes in and goes out. So there is a problem sometimes of flood and sometimes of drought there. So what kind of crop do you need there? We need a crop which is both flood and drought resistant. Flood resistant, drought tolerant, or other way around I suppose. You need that. So immediately what will be MS Swaminathan's solution? They are working on something to produce some genetic, they may take it from plant or something, but they are saying that the solution is biotechnology GM. Or they will think of a bigger solution like the cow. They are thinking that they should produce a cow which, lets out that dung, but lets out dung with less methane. How can you do a genetic modification with less methane? So they are scanning all the animals to find out whose shit has less methane. No, I do not know whether this is very scientific or anything, but they thought and eventually do it like that. But in the case of paddy, and I am sure in other cows also, especially traditional Indian cows, we have not yet looked at it. In the paddy, we found 2 varieties, which are both flood tolerant and drought resistant. Both. One of them is called Kartiyaram, the other is called Maapalai Chandra. Now we spread it around there. Interestingly, what happened? Farmers are now responding that in December now there was a big flood there. When the floods inundated, almost all the other crops of other farmers got destroyed. This withstood it. 10 days, 12 days it withstood it. In the Sundarbans we are doing the same experiment. 100 farmers, 100 varieties we are trying. We found that almost all of them, and we are documenting it, all of them withstood the floods there. In Karnataka, Varada belt, all these places we are trying. In Kerala we are trying. Now the interesting, as part of what is called a Save Our Rice campaign, bringing some traditionalities and all that, looking at it, so traditional agronomic practices combined with the mixed systems, combined with a little bit newer look at all these things with our latest understanding of soil and carbon and nitrogen and all that, combined with that, we are able to look at it and we are seeing that there is possibilities. Now I talked about it to the ICAR, immediately what they said, really, it's happening like this. Somebody came and talked about the fog in the issue in the Bundelkhand areas also. There was one farm, 30 acres, run by a Gandhian institute, Gandhian center, under a person called Sanjay Singh. Not that Bundelkhand Sanjay Singh, that one who is who lost his brother. Chatar. This person, his farm, they were saying, not to the ICR institute, later I found that they were saying that when the fog comes and hits other crops and it gets dried up, his land holds on. No dryness there, nothing there. So climate resilient agriculture is known in the country. But crores of rupees goes into those institutes to be got funding. And when we presented this, immediately what they said, the ICR fellow, they said, come, we'll give you money. Do it. I immediately said, sorry. Sorry. If you want to do it in your institutes. Come to us, learn, do it. And when you come, don't try to teach us. Respect us, come, learn, understand, go and do it in your lands. But if you want to do GM crops, we will sign an MOU before you walk into our farms. We will sign an MOU and we have an MOU. And the MOU says, we will give you the crop, but if you do genetic modification, we will sue you. No, you need to bring that back. That is important. So this whole thing, I completely agree. The discussion and debate on climate change have to be taken up, even have to be hijacked by us in some larger form. Is very important.
And do you want to respond? Maybe I'll pose this a question or an idea for comments, because I think one thing that bothers me in this climate change discussion is that this carbon cycle from land use gets mixed up with carbon cycle from the fossil fuels. And in my view, they're like totally different creatures because the time cycle is totally different. In the land use, we have sort of maybe 10,000 years of experience that our forefathers started to clear forests for agriculture, and then of course that carbon from trees and soil then got into air. And if we for some reason as a humanity decide, okay, now the planet is heating too much, so let us return the carbon. So that can be done. We can regenerate the biomass, and that carbon is then sequestrated. But then we have the fossil fuels where the cycle is millions of years. so in that way, the simple and easy answer for reducing emissions is to leave fossil fuels under the ground. And of course, this is very uncomfortable proposition for modern life because we are totally dependent on this, unexceptionally powerful source of energy. But I just wonder, as a movement, should we try to, because now this is what happens, that instead of thinking ways to reduce our energy wastage, starting from overconsumption, then we get up and discussing the like how to fight the CDM, becoming from destroying these small farmers.
In fact, that way, farming and the question that you raised about energy is also intricately linked, because all that energy that we are talking about comes basically from fossil fuels. So if you raise the question of leaving it under the ground, then the whole question of where, before even your cars or aeroplanes or these lights, the question will come, how are you going to produce? So there we'll have to look for answers. I'm not saying I don't agree 100% that all the answers are known. These are not known, because one very important understanding that we have to also realize or internalize is that traditional knowledge is very important. Traditional knowledge or societal knowledge is very important. But how do traditional knowledge gets generated? It won't get generated in laboratories. It gets generated by communities or societies interacting with their surroundings, trying to solve problems, and then experimenting. So if you have a situation where some of the elements have never occurred or the people never face those elements, then it is very likely traditional knowledge of that will not exist in society.
Yeah.
So that has to be understood very clearly. That's why I'm not agreeing with what he said, but in a sense, saying that traditional knowledge is the solution and don't need anything else, that's probably narrowing down a little too uncomfortable, and that is not going to solve our problems, because many of these we have taken for granted. Like whatever energy we need to put for agricultural production, and it's also be very clear, no agricultural production is energy free. One fundamental input along with water is energy. So that energy has to come from somewhere, and that is also a very critical question, because that's hidden in the food question.
Yeah.
And in a sense,
I agree.
that's also integrated with the water question, because if you look at that, there is absolutely no water shortage in the world if we had access to enough safe energy. If we don't have access to safe energy, that's why there is a shortage of water. Otherwise, there would not have been any shortage of water, and I have not enough figures.
Yeah,
to So all these are integrated, whether it is energy or water or farming and food security. You cannot really take them out. But the question of what both of them has pointed out is that solutions given by industry and corporations obviously are not looking for interest of the farmers on food security, they are looking for interest of profit. That has to be seen and analyzed, and we have to have solutions which really serve the purpose that we are talking about.
See, it's very interesting. While the CDM in soil carbon sequestration is still being talked about, World Bank has already instituted few pilot projects, and while farmers globally are being lured with earnings from carbon credit, who will earn from carbon credit is very clear. Farmers community anywhere in the world, I don't think they are in a capacity to earn carbon credit directly because of the technicalities that is involved in earning carbon credit and instituting a CDM mechanism. But this is happening, and even organizations like World Bank, when they have instituted few of the pilot projects, they have not been able to set a baseline of sequestration because it's so complex and it's so technical. Organization, many of the countries do not have technical competence to set a baseline and measure how much carbon is being sequestrated. Talking about money, there have been studies in few pilot projects which you'll be surprised to know how much money a farmer will be earning for a year. It's something like $3 per year. So who earns the money? Obviously agribusiness companies. So that's the answer. On whether climate change is happening or not, I have little information. 1978 to 2007, 30 years have seen 27 warmest year over the century. From 2000 to 2007, 2009, 10 years have seen 10 warmest years over the
Which
century.
is the reference point?
Sorry?
Which is the reference point? Before centuries, whether it
No.
happened or not happened.
From
now-
since 1850s when global
Only we have
temperature, average temperature started being recorded reliably since then.
So we don't know before that also this trend might be there.
And balance. See, it's very easy to talk in general terms.
No, but
If you just let me answer, I have heard your thing. That's what I'm saying, that if you go into figures, then go into figures. It's not true that we only have record from 1860. 1860 is instrumentation record. We have climate, temperature, atmospheric composition, all records for last 800,000 years. And that's a ice core work. We have enough document on that, enough data on that. And it has been very clearly shown that, okay, what you are saying, the temperature, if you take, because climate change and temperature equation is not right. Because temperature is only one parameter. There are 6 other parameters which are very prominent, 27 parameters which are contributing to that. So if you just take temperatures do go up and down. But throughout these last about 1 million years, and there are records even before that, temperatures changes have never taken place in this space. Temperature changes of 6 degrees Celsius have taken place for the glaciations. Glacial age, interglacials, again a glacial age, that is ice age. It has taken place, but that cycle is 40,000 years. It has, in the last 100 years, we have come across almost 1 degree, 0.8 degree. It has never happened in the known history of the earth as we have seen. And hundreds of millions of years or maybe 4 billion years, no life was there. So forget about that. But now with our kind of life here, the kind of temperature rate of change, I am talking only about temperature, there are many other changes taking place. The background extinction rate of species is 100 times, increased 100 times than which was going on for the last 20,000 years. So that also another factor, but forget about all that. Well, this is a very clever ploy of so-called deniers, and many of the deniers are funded by oil and coal lobbies. They also put up that, okay, temperatures have changed earlier, so what is new? New is the rate of change of temperature, the rate of change of stable climate parameters, the rate of change of extinction has all gone up very, very, very high. And that's not suitable. It doesn't matter for the earth, but it does matter for us. We will not be able to tolerate that. Nothing will happen to the earth. So that is very important. People will not be able to adapt agriculture or adapt their other things so quickly. We need time. Even species need many generations to adapt to changes. So that time is not available. That's a critical difference. There is a documented figures. These are not something which is not available as data.
Only last month I have attended this climate change conference of the government officials and weathermen are there. And they have shown that the rain pattern, there is some temperature pattern, and they say there is not significant change if we look at it in the larger space. If we will take this decade before, so it is similar. They say the only thing is now the intensity of rain is increased, which was whether this is spread around. Now it just pour in a days. The number of days is reduced. So this kind of data they will discuss. They may be lobbying for somebody, I don't know, but there are scientists.
I will give you why this is happening.
Yeah.
See, this is important in the sense, otherwise I don't want to go into details, but we have been seeing the same change in our government institutions. See, you remember the big controversy, IPCC's, the Himalayan glaciers will melt by 2035. That was a mistake, that nobody can predict that by this year all glaciers will melt. But after that, all government institutions which are doing research of this area, there seems to be a gag order. I had 3 discussions with IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, a group of 3-4 of us. Before this happened, they agreed that this kind of thing is happening. Now they have started suppressing. See, one of the most credible scientific organizations is ISRO, one of the most credible. And Space Application Center has 45 years of solid satellite observation on Himalayan glaciers. Their data, actual satellite observation data shows from 1962 to 2004, 42 years, out of 9,700 some glaciers in the Indian Himalayas, they took a sample of 966. There were 21% loss in area, and they admit that they are not able to ascertain the depth loss because satellite technology at that time was not able to do that. After this fiasco and this hullabaloo with Jairam Ramesh and all, and Indian government started denying, it was November 6th and 7th. Before that, I had discussion with IMD, including the DDG, Deputy Director General, their head of glaciology. Everybody was saying, yes, something, but nothing is happening, nothing is happening. Last month, not last month, this is January, it was November, when we are having a consultation on State Action Plan on Climate Change in Uttarakhand, in Srinagar Garhwal, in HNB Garhwal University, sitting in Srinagar, in the university campus, the scientist, quote unquote scientist, from Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, he was given responsibility to present on this. The next day he comes, no, everything is fine, nothing is unusual, and he don't give a single data. So my understanding is there is a gag order on government institution. 2009, when this drought took place in India. It took place in across India almost, except 3 states. The IMD had access to data. I, being a non-meteorologist, I had access to data. I had written articles. I think many of them have seen my articles. Some have questioned, you are not a meteorologist. And I have written how the Frontier Research Center, which monitors Indian Ocean, how even the US agricultural organization, they have predicted that there will be a 23% shortfall. Till July 23rd, IMD kept predicting it will be a little less than normal monsoon. So when we talk to them personally, they were avoiding and giving answers. So it's very clear these are not based on science, these are based on what their political masters are saying or what they might be perceiving. If we are giving this kind of input, then what will our position be? So don't take what goes on in a large, because this university or this level seminars, most of the places, because they are not based on actual data in most of the places. Even if those data exist in those same scientific institutions. If you are saying questioning, then you would also ask question, what happened to the ISRO's actual satellite imageries? Are those all now rubbished? All those satellites were defective, all those images were false color or wrong, they gave wrong answers? Or are the studies by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune, they analyzed last 100 years Indian climate, including monsoon. There is a study available. Hindu reported on it in a big report. And this says in the last 100 years, 3-4 things very clearly. One, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, rainfall has gone down consistently. The rainfall onset dates have varied and is going to vary again, going to change. The intensity, what you say, there's only one. The number of high rainfall days have come down to 21 days and the intensity of rainfall has gone up. So all these are there in the report, which is Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. It is again one of the better institutes in meteorology. So just generally saying is this happening or this CA is not right. As he said, that you should also, if you are really interested, you should read what has already been done based on data, not on opinions. Opinions can be anything, but based on data. And this data, if you are interested today, you can go to IMD and request them that please give us your tropical meteorology's 100-year analysis. You go to SSC, it's open. You ask them, give us your satellite data. Anil Kulkarni has written enough in all kinds of journals, peer-reviewed journals, with basin-wise data, where things have gone wrong, how much has melted away, what is the change of flow pattern, what is the flow pattern in lean season and peak season. So all these are available in public domain. You have to make a little effort. Just having some government information and saying, oh, nothing is happening is not right. If you want, we can give you 100 other references where you can go and find actual data, not opinions. And most important, I'd like to just bring this up. If you go, like he's saying, we have been trying to do some little ground level impact studies. Some of our friends, we also belong to Ashit, myself, some others, belong to also a small group in Delhi called Delhi Platform. Some other friends there, they went and did a study in Gujarat, in 4 districts. I also went in 2 other states, Himachal, Mandi and Kangra district, and in Madhya Pradesh, Chhindwara district. And we did somewhat on what actual impact is happening on farming, on forest, in those areas. And invariably, from the people themselves, I don't know why this is that year, but people are reporting that around 2003-2004 onwards, things have gone down, productivity have gone down, rainfall patterns have become more erratic, and invariably people are reporting around those years, somewhere 2002, somewhere 2003-4, in this period, the impacts have become intense, visible to people at the ground. So one is, you can go and see actual scientific data, including satellite imagery, including Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology's analysis, 100-year monsoon data, 100-year climate data. On the other hand, you can go and talk to people, see the actual ground level studies, and those 2 matches. The changes are happening.
I agree partly with you, but there are lots of things going on. Like in the case of South Bhaya, Odisha, they will say because of climate change, the 7 villages wiped out. But if you go there, talk to the villagers, they say because of the coming Paradip port, this erosion has started. But they relate immediately to the climate change because they have to do something there on the ground.
There has been studies on Satbaya.
Yes.
It has been reported sea is rising. Paradip port, I don't know, but I think films made, even BBC made a film on the Satbaya thing. And normally villagers interview I have seen in the studies of Satbaya, they are saying that it is due to rising water. And rising.
Some other impact will not be there, it is not the case. But climate change or climate crisis for the people who are facing this is having tremendous impact. What happened is Kendrapara. Why Kendrapara case is not being highlighted? More than 10,000 families have already been displaced.
Satbaya is in Kendrapada district.
Whole Kendrapara district.
But we did a study in Gujarat,
If you
4
go
districts.
there, I have on
People after people have told us.
No, we are not
all
saying just one.
villages I have done interviews and they say this is started after Paradip Port.
Fine,
It's
No.
not
it will be
now.
there, it will not be there.
There are
it will be
also coastal belts where the sea has gone inside. So if sea is rising, it must impact on that coast and it
No.
should come in. But it is, so there are so many politics going on, that's what I am saying, there may be other factors
Yeah.
also.
Paradip was started in 1950s, late 50s. And in and around Paradip, this thing is not reported. And why seas, people are going inside, that is due to the estuary and the delta problem. That is a totally different problem.
Like partly Sundarban problem is not entirely climate change. Because Ganges is one of the heaviest silt carrying river. So the siltation and the pressure and the land subsidence is also contributing.
Yeah.
Similarly, in other place, it's not that it will be only climate change. There will be other problems, other projects, other problems. But that doesn't mean in one place this problem was there, so that's why climate change do not exist. That's not a very solid argument. That's what I'm saying.
They are getting into sea because a lot of silt is going on in the river, because that is all delta region.
See, the other thing is, I mean, I completely agree with what you're putting forward. See, it's also the other side, the problem that the real impact of it, when this happens, whether it be weather vagaries or climate change. And some of them are weather vagaries, and some of them intensely, if you look at it, it could be other reasons. But whatever it is, whether vagaries or climate change, the impact at the micro level is something which is even now totally evading the scientific community. While when you go down to the people, they will tell you exactly why and how this is impacting them. A shift in days, the intensity of rains, all have micro level impacts on the farm. But looking at it from monthly data, yearly data, and sitting there and mapping will not solve the problem. It will solve the problem when you really put people in the field, start living with them, understanding them for 4 years, and then in the 5th year will be probably able to come out with a technological solution or an economic solution, whatever kind. But that itself is not what the system is focusing on. While climate change is a wonderful, milking cow for certain things, it's a bad thing for the international debate. While it's a milking cow for these people. So opportunistic interventions by this, opportunistically this is being seen, not by the community. We see, if the community sees it like that, you can excuse it because the community can see it like that. But then they are not equipped not to see it like that. But when the scientific community also sees it as an opportunistic milking cow, and when it comes to, as you were saying, is not there for certain other opportunities, that is something which has to be laughed at and they brought back to the senses.
What is there something? What is there something?
Pardon?
What is there something? Something might be wrong in that you just told.
I think I spelled that out, at some point of time. There's a lot of things wrong, including our own, apathy to when the system is going like that. We also feel that we don't need to respond. So it is, or our responses are not enough, probably. Including that. That's not the main problem, but including that.
I think what Ashit earlier said is also to be kept in mind, because many of these, why the political economy is important. It's not only farming. Every state,
It is a view and welcome which should
it is not view.
be taken into consideration.
Yes, see, every state in India which has any significant amount, any little amount of forest, all of them in their plans, they are making policies and plans for selling them out in the name of RED Plus, in the scheme of RED Plus. That is, you are enhancing your carbon content of the forest, so you can sell it in the international carbon market. Why it is that? Why it is not that you are, that means they admit that there is a threat for by climate change, but the solution will be selling the carbon credit. So why it is that? why it is not that there are a large number of forest dependent people, so their security of fuel and other things have to be secured, because these do not give rise to a particular system which we are at present in. So that is a kind of industrial capitalist system where anything you have to give a mass scale, mass produced, centralized control solution where large scale manufacturing will be there. So that do not suit if you are talking about solution by small groups. That is very clear. That's why the policies are not generally meant for that kind of redressal system. It's only meant, that's why when we are saying some people are, it's true, some people are trying to see this as an opportunity. In the name of climate change, GM crop is being pushed. In the name of climate change, soil carbon sequestration is pushed. In the name of climate change, climate smart agriculture is pushed.
But there is vice versa also. In the name of climate change, GM food is.
No, that's not in the climate change name. Whatever argument he has is again on the basis of what is happening. And I could have given you argument on the basis in the scientific argument why, in spite of even without going into what is happening, why this kind of genetic modification for tackling pest or this kind of diseases will not be effective.
These things should start.
There is, if you read evolutionary biology, then you will understand very clearly. Evolutionary biology very clearly indicates that this kind of genetic modification will be effective only for a short period. What happened in China? China also has a very large BT cotton. What happened in China last year, 2010 beginning? There was huge pest infestation in all the BT cotton areas. Why? Because it's BT cotton, particularly this Thurian bacterial thuringiensis is one gene targeted boll grunt. And what happened to the other pest? Since you are not giving pesticides, there was a huge infestation of other kind of pests. So for that, they had to use double the amount of pests. So these are scientific
going on in
reasons.
nature, naturally.
Pardon?
But there are mutations going on in nature. Naturally,
So you have to understand what is mutation. The ATGC structure, what he mentioned, the two pairs. The ATGC structure, there is a small change that can lead to a mutation. And mutations are not always good. See, mutations is somebody being takes place also because of radiation. Takes place because of jumping genes. There are many reasons for mutations. And mutations are not necessarily good. Some mutations can be good, some mutations can be bad. So
not all mutations are good, not all mutations are bad.
No. So
but you cannot prevent mutation in the
no, you cannot prevent mutation. But see, try to understand this. Mutation do not take place across species boundaries.
No.
What we are talking about is genetic engineering across species boundaries. So there is a fundamental difference in this. Any species is suited over hundreds and thousands of years to its particular ecological niche. So if you cross a species boundary, that means you are also targeting that particular niche where it is adapted to. And what you raise a question, I think the scientific answer has not been given, but if you raise the question of chemicals, see, everything that we are, even this is basically a chemical. Even these are basically chemicals. But chemicals which never existed in nature when we are existing over millions of years. So if you are growing up and there is no chemical of that nature, then your body do not generate a mechanism to take it and throw out, like natural cycles. That's why the chemicals which are created recently, toxicity is what? Toxicity is not a general thing. Toxicity is whatever has some bad effect you can call toxicity. But if your body has not developed a system to throw it out, lot of chemicals are in the soil. The body is there, the human being or the other animals are there for millions of years. So they have developed a system for taking this and throwing it out. But if you introduce a new synthetic chemical which was not there, the body will not be able to generate that system in one generation. It will take probably 10,000 generations.